7 Ways to Become Unrecognizable, the Stoic Path of Inner Transformation. There comes a moment in life when you realize something unsettling. The version of you that once survived is no longer strong enough to lead you forward. The habits that protected you are now limiting you. The identity you built to endure pain is now the very thing keeping you small. Stoicism does not offer comfort for this realization. It offers something far more dangerous: truth. To become unrecognizable is not to change your appearance. It is to dismantle the invisible structures that once defined you: fear, validation, emotional dependence, impulsive reaction, and rebuild yourself on principles that cannot be shaken. The Stoics believed transformation is not loud. It does not announce itself. It happens quietly, daily, through discipline, clarity, and ruthless self-honesty. These are not motivational tips. They are mental laws. And once you live by them, even people who have known you for years will feel something different when they stand next to you, not because you say more, but because you are no longer the same person. 1. Stop explaining yourself. Silence is a form of power. One of the earliest signs of inner weakness is the constant need to explain why you did what you did, why you feel the way you feel, why you chose this path, why you said no. Most people don't explain to be understood, they explain to be accepted. The Stoics rejected this instinct entirely. Epictetus taught that when you live in alignment with reason and virtue, explanation becomes unnecessary. Your actions speak with more authority than words ever could. Every time you over-explain, you are subconsciously asking for permission, and permission is the currency of the insecure. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that the opinions of others are external and therefore outside your control. To chase them is to abandon your inner command. The moment you stop explaining, weak arguments lose their grip on you, manipulators lose leverage, critics lose relevance. Silence unsettles people because it denies them access to your inner world. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every curiosity deserves clarity. Not every judgment deserves defense. The Stoic understands this. Your peace is more valuable than being understood. Transformation begins when your choices no longer require applause. 2. Detach from emotional reactivity. Become unpredictable. Most people are predictable. Insult them, they explode. Ignore them, they spiral. Challenge them, they defend. Their emotions are exposed wires waiting to be touched. The Stoics called this slavery. Epictetus said, "If someone can provoke you, they control you." To become unrecognizable, you must remove emotional access. This does not mean suppressing emotion. It means refusing to let emotion command action. The Stoic pauses. Between stimulus and response, there is space, and in that space lives freedom. When someone attacks you and you remain calm, they feel it. When someone provokes you and you don't bite, they feel powerless. When chaos enters and you remain steady, people notice silently. You become unreadable. This emotional discipline changes everything. Arguments die before they begin. Manipulation loses oxygen. Conflict dissolves. Not because you are passive, but because you are in control. The world expects reaction. Calm resistance breaks the pattern. And once you master this, people will say you've changed without being able to explain why. 3. Let go of the need to be liked. Choose respect instead. The desire to be liked is one of the most dangerous addictions of the modern mind. It makes you compromise your truth. It makes you soften boundaries. It makes you tolerate disrespect. The Stoics saw this clearly. Seneca warned that the man who lives for approval is never free because his worth depends on crowds that change daily. To become unrecognizable, you must be willing to disappoint people, not through cruelty, but through clarity. When you stop chasing likability, you speak with precision, you act with integrity, you stop negotiating your values. Respect grows where approval dies. People may not always agree with you, but they will feel your firmness, and firmness creates gravity. Stoicism teaches that virtue is not democratic. It does not require consensus. If your actions are guided by reason, discipline, and moral clarity, you do not need validation. The paradox is this: the less you seek approval, the more authority you carry. Not because you demand it, but because you no longer need it. 4. Accept discomfort as training, not a threat. Most people avoid discomfort instinctively. They avoid silence, they avoid boredom, they avoid confrontation, they avoid effort. The Stoics do the opposite. They lean into discomfort deliberately. Cold exposure, early rising, hard conversations, delayed gratification. Why? Because discomfort reveals weakness, and weakness is a map for growth. Marcus Aurelius viewed difficulty as resistance training for the soul. Without friction, strength cannot develop. The Stoic does not ask, "How can I make this easier?" He asks, "How can this make me stronger?" When you willingly face discomfort, fear loses authority, excuses collapse, confidence becomes internal. You become fragile, and fragility is what the world preys on. Transformation is not comfortable, it is forging. Fire does not destroy steel, it reveals it. 5. Reduce external noise. Guard your mental territory. The modern world is loud by design. Opinions, news, outrage, comparison, validation loops. The Stoics would see this as mental pollution. They believed that what you allow into your mind determines the quality of your character. Every unnecessary input weakens focus. Every comparison erodes contentment. Every outrage steals clarity. To become unrecognizable, you must become selective. Selective with information, conversations, influences, digital consumption. Silence sharpens perception. When you reduce noise, you hear yourself again, your values, your instincts, your direction. The undisturbed mind is not empty, it is undisturbed. And an undisturbed mind is dangerous in a distracted world.
Becoming unrecognizable is not about changing your face, your name, or your outer identity. It is about reshaping the inner structure that governs how you think, react, endure, and act. In Part 1, we explored the foundations: self-mastery, detachment from validation, emotional control, and disciplined silence. Now we go deeper into the habits that harden your character, sharpen your mind, and quietly elevate you beyond who you once were. This is where most people fail, because this stage offers no applause, no instant results, only slow, relentless inner construction. And that is precisely why it works. 4. Learn to endure discomfort voluntarily. Most people live their lives avoiding discomfort. They structure their days around convenience, pleasure, and ease. The Stoic does the opposite. Not because suffering is noble, but because comfort weakens the mind, while voluntary discomfort strengthens it. Seneca deliberately slept on hard beds. Marcus Aurelius wore plain clothes despite being emperor of Rome. They understood a truth modern society avoids. A man who cannot endure small discomforts will collapse under real adversity. Why voluntary hardship transforms you. When you willingly choose difficulty, three things happen. You break your dependence on comfort. You train resilience before life forces it upon you. You discover that you are far stronger than you believed. Cold showers, hard training, fasting, silence, delayed gratification. These are not punishments, they are rehearsals. Because life will bring hardship regardless, the Stoic simply arrives prepared. The psychological shift. When discomfort becomes familiar, fear loses its grip. You stop asking, will this be uncomfortable? Will this be hard? Will this hurt? And start asking, is this necessary? Is this right? Is this within my control? That shift alone makes you unrecognizable. 5. Master your inner dialogue. Most people are not defeated by others, they are defeated by the voice in their own head. A voice that says, you're not enough, you'll fail again, why even try? Others are better than you. The Stoics understood this long before psychology named it. Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. Every repeated thought becomes a belief. Every belief becomes a behavior. Every behavior becomes identity. If your inner dialogue is weak, no external success will save you. The Stoic does not silence the inner voice, he disciplines it. When the mind says, I can't handle this, the Stoic replies, I have handled worse. When the mind says, this isn't fair, he answers, reality does not owe me fairness. When the mind says, I'm afraid, he responds, fear is information, not a command. This is not positivity, it is precision. Stoicism is not about lying to yourself, it is about speaking truth without drama. You do not inflate yourself, you do not degrade yourself, you speak clearly. And clarity is power. 6. Become comfortable being misunderstood. This is one of the hardest transformations. Most people are desperate to be understood. They explain themselves excessively. They defend their choices. They seek approval for decisions they already know are right. The Stoic lets this go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Why being misunderstood is a sign of growth. When you change deeply, three things happen. People who benefited from the old you feel threatened. People who rely on conformity feel uncomfortable. People who lack discipline project their insecurity. Your silence will be misread as arrogance. Your boundaries will be called coldness. Your independence will be labeled distance. Let it be. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be aligned with truth. The Stoic response to misunderstanding. No explanations, no justifications, no emotional defense. Only consistency. Time will reveal what words cannot, and those who truly matter will eventually see. Focus only on what is within your control. This is the core of Stoicism and the dividing line between power and misery. Epictetus stated it clearly, some things are in our control and others are not. Most suffering comes from confusing the two. You cannot control other people's opinions, outcomes, the past, random events. You can control your effort, your values, your response, your discipline. The Stoic trains his mind daily to release what does not belong to him. What this does to your nervous system. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, anxiety decreases, focus increases, energy returns, decision-making sharpens. You become calm, not passive, but grounded. You act where action matters, you release where action is useless. That balance makes you dangerous in the best sense of the word. The silent result. You become unrecognizable. One day, people will notice. Not because you announced your change, not because you demanded respect, but because your presence feels different. You speak less, but when you speak, it matters. You react slower, but when you act, it is decisive. You are not rushed, not reactive, not fragile. You are steady, and that steadiness unsettles those who live in chaos. A final Stoic reminder. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Becoming unrecognizable is not about domination, it is about sovereignty, over your mind, over your emotions, over your choices. And once you achieve that, no insult can shake you, no chaos can control you, no manipulation can trap you. Because the strongest prison has always been internal, and you have unlocked the door.
By the time you reach this stage, something profound has already changed. You no longer chase validation. You no longer explain yourself. You no longer rush to be understood. And most importantly, you no longer fear standing alone. This is where most people turn back, because this phase does not reward ego. It rewards discipline, clarity, and self-command. Stoicism calls this inner sovereignty, the state where nothing outside you holds power over your mind. 5. Detach from the need to be liked. Respect is enough. One of the final illusions to die is the need to be liked. Most people shape their personality around approval. They soften their truth to avoid discomfort. They perform kindness hoping for acceptance. They hide conviction to avoid conflict. The Stoic does the opposite. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Approval is external, so is rejection. When you detach from both, something changes. You speak more clearly, you act more decisively, you walk away faster from what drains you. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you honest. People may not always like you, but they will feel your presence, and respect lasts longer than applause. Stoic practice. Each time you feel the urge to explain or defend yourself, pause. Ask, is this for truth or for approval? Then choose silence. Silence sharpens authority. 6. Train emotional endurance. Become unreactive under pressure. At this stage, life will test you differently, not with chaos, but with provocation. People will question your calm. They will test your boundaries. They will attempt to pull you back into emotional noise. This is intentional. The world reacts violently to those it cannot control. Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The Stoic trains not to suppress emotion, but to outlast it. Anger rises, you breathe. Insults come, you observe. Pressure builds, you remain deliberate. While others explode, you become still. Stillness is not passivity, it is dominance over impulse, and nothing unsettles people more than a calm person who refuses to be shaken. Stoic practice. When triggered, delay your response by 10 seconds. That pause breaks the chain. That pause restores your power. 7. Reduce noise. Ruthlessly guard your mental space. Transformation requires solitude. Not isolation, but intentional withdrawal. Most people consume more noise than they create. Endless opinions, constant updates, emotional contagion. Stoics knew this danger long before social media. Seneca warned, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. You cannot become unrecognizable if your mind is crowded with voices that are not your own. At this stage, you consume less information, speak less, think more, choose depth over stimulation. Silence becomes fertile ground. Clarity replaces confusion. Your thoughts slow and sharpen. You begin to hear yourself again. Stoic practice. Schedule daily silence. No input,
no distraction, just you and your thoughts. This is where discipline becomes wisdom. 8. Act without announcement, let results speak. The final mark of transformation is invisibility before impact. Weak people announce intentions, strong people announce outcomes. The Stoic moves quietly. No boasting, no promises, no emotional broadcasting. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire this way, writing reminders to himself, not speeches to impress others. When you stop talking about what you will do, energy concentrates, focus intensifies, execution improves. And when results arrive, they arrive unquestioned. Silence creates surprise. Surprise creates authority. Stoic practice. Tell fewer people your plans. Finish first, explain later if necessary. 9. Accept loneliness. It is the price of clarity. This truth is rarely spoken. As you become unrecognizable, your circle will shrink, not because you are better, but because you are no longer compatible with mediocrity. Some will misunderstand your discipline, others will resent your calm, a few will quietly disappear. This is not loss, this is alignment. Stoicism does not promise comfort, it promises freedom, and freedom often walks alone. But in that solitude, something powerful happens. You stop being shaped by others, you become shaped by principle. Stoic reminder: loneliness is not emptiness, it is space, and space is power. 10. Live by principle, not by mood. The final evolution. Most people live by emotion. You will live by code. This is the final transformation. You no longer ask, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what is right? This is Stoic strength. You act when tired. You stay calm when wronged. You remain disciplined when unmotivated. Not because it feels good, but because it is aligned with who you choose to be. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. At this point, you are unrecognizable. Not louder, not harsher, but steadier. And in a world addicted to chaos, the steady man becomes unstoppable. Final Stoic truth. Becoming unrecognizable is not about reinvention, it is about removal. Removing weakness, removing noise, removing dependence, removing illusion. What remains is clarity, discipline, self-rule. And once you master yourself, no one else ever will.